Hello, Lyric Armstrong, your real estate agent and advocate. Hello. So, as promised, I'm coming right back off of the last video with regards to ordinances. So, please check that one out, making sure that you are following the law within your county and keeping up on any citations that you may receive. Um, so, now this is the bigger, right? This is avoiding foreclosure. So, you're like, I'm paying my note, I'm paying my insurance, I'm paying my taxes. There's just no way I can get foreclosed upon. That's just impossible. I'm paying it. There's no way. Well, as of 2022 and late 2021, but especially 2022, we have seen the real estate agents and advocates out there, the realtors, we have seen an upkick in what is called the second trust deed uh, REOs, where they are foreclosing on property with a second. So, what does that mean to you? So, sometimes you'll go in to purchase your home, and because of the purchase price, you'll have to have a second put on it, a silent second, sometimes is what is noted. Or you can purchase your home and then sometimes you may take out a second. You may borrow against the equity of your home and take a second out. And that just means that you have a second note on your house. So the first note holds seniority, it's the priority one and the primary one. And what happens to some homeowners, they figure, well, as long as I'm paying my first, if I slack up on my second, it's okay because I'm paying the first, I'm paying the big one, right? So you may have what, a $250,000 house and your first is $200,000. Well, it wouldn't be this exactly because you should have put money down, but let's just keep life simple. No need to do hard math this early in the morning. So you have $200,000 and your first loan, and then let's just say you did put down 20,000. So you put down 20,000, and now you have was that 30,000? Now you have 30,000 left in a $250,000 home. And on that 30,000, that's on the second. That's the second mortgage you put in. You have a first and a second. You're like, well, I sat down with one banker, and that was with Chase, or that was with B of A, or that was whoever, right? And then all of a sudden you get something from Indy or this other mortgage broker, and you're like, I don't know this mortgage. Pay attention to anything and everything that has your address on it that reflects a mortgage, because they may have sold that second to someone else and maybe they kept the primary or they sold the whole package. Nevertheless, if you've ever had a second on your home, for whatever reason, from the time you purchased it or later in life when you may have refied it and take some money out, you need to make sure you're paying the payments on the second and the first. And you may say, I don't remember. That's okay. Call your real estate agent so that they can get you in touch with your title so that you can get a title report to find out what's going on against your title, because they will have to record the fact that they have a second on your house. You need to double check that. You need to make sure. Now, here is the public service announcement. Have a client, one of my colleagues has a client that went through a modification through NACA, and they took away the understanding that the second was forgiven and that the second on their home was no longer in play. And now in 2022, their house is being noticed for foreclosure because they did not pay any money to the second for an extended amount of time. So they're losing their house to foreclosure. Now, thankfully, that's not my client. So that's why I'm telling you, because I don't want you to have the same problem. I'm making sure all my clients know, and I'm making sure that all the public I can get to knows, because it's very important that we are staying on top of these loans and the payments and the taxes. Uncle Sam, everybody's talking about Uncle Sam, you got to pay Uncle Sam. Yes. Pay everybody their money, especially when you got it on your house. Because if you're living in it, you definitely don't want to lose the property that you're living in. So this has come up for this particular client because they got an NOD, they notice of default for them a second, and they're like, no, I was told that it was forgiven. Okay, prove it. Where is it in writing? So that's another public service announcement. When you have someone modifying your loan, or you have someone working on your property by any measurement, if they're refinancing your loan, or if they're, helping to modify you because your payments are too high and they're trying to help you to prevent foreclosure in the first place, if anybody says something is forgiven, or the price has changed, or the interest rate has changed, these are words and they sound good. They are not a contractable conversation, because things that are happen in real estate must be in writing. So when you have a written contract, you can only amend, correct, or change that contract in writing. You cannot amend a written contract with a verbal contract. So it just becomes conversation. Even if you think they're telling you what's in the loan packet or what's in those particular documents, that's conversation unless you actually see it in the documents. So I say to you, it truly behooves you to sit down with someone and say, show me where it is forgiven. Show me where the new interest rate is. Show me where the price has now changed, or the cost is now different, or the fees are now waived. Show me, show me, show me. Because if it is not written as such, then it does not necessarily exist. And I say necessarily in a very cautionary tale, because if it's something like fees, if the fees are not on the invoice, so obviously the fees don't exist. But if there's something of an amendment where they're stating that the loan is so forgiven, that needs to be in writing. And that particular document is a reconveyance. You want a reconveyance, or you need something that's spoken to the letterhead or to the official entity that owns that second, that owns that lien, that says you are released forever, forever, ever, and ever, ever, whatever the language is supposed to say. So be very mindful that you are reading. Oh, come on, people. You have to read. Okay, you have to, especially when you're buying something for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Read it. Understand what you're signing. I go through this with my clients. Did you read it? You have questions? Okay, let's look it over. Because it's very important that you have an understanding of what you're contracting into. Okay, so that's my public service announcement. You have a couple in there. Your first one is, if you ever had a second, call your agent now so that you can get back in touch with your second, in case you don't have the paperwork. Sometimes you forget. Matter of fact, who cares? Even if you don't think you've ever had a second, call your agent, let them know that you want to talk to title. You need to see if what is against your house. Do you have any liens? And do you have a first, a second? What's the mortgage liens against your house? Other liens can be contractor liens. You could have had work done to your house. You didn't like the person. You pay them what you thought you owed them, sent them on their merry way, and they turned around and said, nope, you still owe me the balance, and they filed a lien against your house. That could be there too. So you want to reach out to your agent, see what's going on with the what's recorded against your house, to make sure that if you're not supposed to have a second, you don't. If you do have a second, make sure you're paying it. And if you don't have a second, or you're not supposed to have a second, make sure you have that in writing, that if it's forgiven or it's paid off, make sure that you have the reconveyance recorded. It's everything that's done in real estate is recorded with a county recorder. For LA County, you may record it elsewhere, but it's recorded against your title. So wherever you're going to pull your title from, that's where you're going to get your recording against your house. So if any entity has recorded that you owe them money, once you've paid them off or they've forgiven the loan, they also need to be recording just the same, that they have done a reconveyance or a release. And those things need to be recorded all in the same place. So if those things are not recorded, say you have your modification packages and you have your release in your hand, but yet somehow, some way it didn't get recorded, then you have to start working with an attorney and a title rep to help you get those things rectified with that company so you can get the release. Excuse me, my throat. So call us, your agents, call me. Doesn't matter where you are in this United States. I can definitely help you throughout this nation, or call your local rep who helped you in the first place. But make sure to reach out and find out what is on your title. Don't assume. Secondly, if you have a second and you haven't been paying on it, it's not like a credit card or another bill. You know, that's that old tale in the hood. Back in the day, people would say, or people say, especially credit card repair people will tell you even now, do not claim that as your debt. If it's something you haven't paid on, then don't claim it, don't answer, don't acknowledge it, because now you recycled and renewed the year. So I think it's 2 years or something, whatever the year cutoff is. I heard that once upon a time. Right? So that is not the case when it comes to real estate, honey bun. Please do not fall for that. You don't have to acknowledge it on the phone. They don't need you to renew the date of acknowledgement. They have it recorded against your house. It's up to them to decide when to pull the trigger. And that's why they're pulling the trigger now in 2022 for a lot of people, because prices are skyrocketed, because equity is out of control. Okay? So they're like, yeah, let's claim this property. What did they do? They bought a second for what, $20,000, $5,000, some very small amount, and maybe you owed $40,000 or $45,000, and they foreclosed on the property because you have all this equity. And you're saying, well, how can they foreclose on a property if I have equity? If you don't pay them, they can foreclose on the property. Here's another thing. Your first doesn't care. Because if the second position forecloses on your property, they pay the first, and whatever the proceeds are left that is owed to them, they get. And now if there's any overage after that, then it goes to unclaimed property for your name. And then you can go to your state's website for unclaimed property and search that periodically to see what's owed to you, because it could be $5,000, $10,000, $5. It can be all kinds of money. So always periodically check that, because it changes. But the first is not going to worry about it, because they're going to get their money. So they're not going to holler at you and say, hey, your second's getting ready to foreclose on you because you haven't made the payments. No, they're not thinking about that. They're only concerned for their own position. So the second position is concerned for them, and the first position is concerned for them. The first position is first position, so that means they get paid first, right? So they're completely satisfied first before the second is satisfied, and the third and the fourth and any other junior liens that you have going on. All right, so I think I've helped you out a great deal. I think I have. I think that's all I wanted to tell you. But bottom line is, don't sleep. Do not sleep. Yes, it's real. They will foreclose on you. They will take your property. They will sell it. They will get their money. There are people that are getting kicked out of their home because they didn't think it was real, because they went through modification and the person told them that it was done. Listen, people are people. God is God and people are people. Do not be fooled. People make mistakes. People forget to check it. People thought they put it there and it didn't. And don't And don't let a computer be the issue. You click something, it's there, and then all of a sudden you go to submit, and next thing you know, it's blank, and you got to go back. This can happen. That's why you have to double check the work. You have to ensure that you are, in fact, getting the service that you're saying that is being told to you. You need to make sure it's in writing, make sure that it is being recorded as such, so that you do not come down the line 10, 15, 20 years later, and or 5 years later, I mean, I don't know, and they're foreclosing on you and you didn't even know that they existed because someone told you that they no longer did, that it was no longer in play. All right, be safe, stay educated, holla at your girl, let me help you. I'm sorry about my throat, but I didn't want to sleep on this information. This is very important for you. Tell a friend, send them this video link, let them listen, call me if you have questions, email me. Let's ensure that everyone stays in their home, because one, we don't need another real estate recession, and two, it's our legacy, and we do not need to lose it for something as simple as not paying this second. And another thing with that is, if you have equity in your home and you get an NOD, a notice of default, for a first, a second, a third, a fourth, whatever, and you cannot pay that, call your real estate agent. Call me. I can hook you up with the right person so you can sell it. Once again, my organization is nationwide. We have brokerages all across this nation. So you can definitely be covered and treated well, and have an educated real estate agent and an advocate for you. Because if you have equity in your home and they're trying to foreclose on it, sell it. If you can't afford to pay them out and you can't get a loan to refi it, and you can't get the money to them to pay them in full the way that they want to settle the situation, at least sell your home so that you can pay them off and you're not losing, I don't want to say equity, because you'll if there's overages, you'll be able to claim it under unclaimed property. But one of the things you need to concern yourself with is they have the right to charge you interest, and the interest, it can be out of control. And so, and late fees and all of that. So what you want to do is sell your property so that you're not getting all these interest charges at the end, and then that's sucking up whatever equity you would have had in the sale. If they sell it, the longer they take for them to sell it, because they have to do it through statutory timeline, the longer it takes for them to sell it, the more days that they're accruing interest rates against you. And consequently, when it goes to the sell, the first will get paid out, the second will get paid out, plus whatever fees and interest rate was involved, and late fees that's involved for like the 3 months that they have time to put it on the market and actually sell it. Whereas in that 3 months, you can get it sold within a couple weeks. I have investors that can buy it quick, fast, in a hurry, or you can put it on the marketplace and have a 30-day escrow or less. And you can have that money quicker, faster, and pay them out without accruing 2 extra months worth of interest rates and late fees. Okay, so you're informed now. If you missed something, go back, listen to it again, or just call me and we can talk on a one-on-one basis. But by all means, share this with everyone. I do not want to hear another person tell me that they had a foreclosure. This one client who's come up from a friend of mine, that's it. That's the only person who's allowed to say that they have a foreclosure, because now you know better. So now you shall do better. All right, Lyric Armstrong, your real estate agent and advocate, 213-444-6336.